what I would advise to people is that they are everybody out there is the medium of expression. If you don't express it, the world doesn't see it. It's lost. Express it. That's it. And it's not going to feel good.
It's the perfect way to end it. Welcome back, everyone, to a new episode of the Johnny Rogers Show. I'm very excited for my guest today. He's an interactive technology engineer, inventor, and kinetic artist, and he's the mastermind behind Kids' Toys, Adult Issues. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for my friend and yours, Andy Salstrom, aka Shampoooty.
You said you're in Canada?
Yeah, I'm in Ottawa.
Look at that.
Nice.
Yeah,
Coming to
man.
us live from a forest.
I'm from hold on. I'm from Minnesota originally, so
Oh, cool. Okay.
this is kind of like here, how's that? Look at that.
Are you in New York?
I'm in New York. I'm in
Nice.
Brooklyn.
Living the dream.
Yeah, man.
And it's so okay. I love having a podcast because it gives me the chance to just like connect with I think cool people. I'll tell you why I reached out to you. My girlfriend had sent me a TikTok and it
Hmm.
was somebody talking about your work. Like it was one of those kind of like green screened in and they're like going through it and they're like, you got to check out this Shampoooty guy. Like it's so cool. Um, and I was like, yeah, that is really cool. From someone else's video, not even from your channel. So I go
Right, right.
follow, and then I'm like, oh, why don't I just ask him to be on the podcast? And here we are. You're cool enough to
Dude,
do it.
dude, yeah, that's kind of how most people, if they ever do reach out to me, it's because of they saw it like secondhand. The same way that you, the same that's also the same way that I will get sales a lot of the times.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
people seeing it secondhand and then maybe they kind of just see it randomly on their own one time and then it's
Yeah,
kind of like because at first some people don't get it.
right.
Um, but if the right people, if they know people who would get it and they share it, then they know that it must make sense to them somehow. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 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 yeah. No, for sure. They kind of are like, look at this cool thing I found, and that almost like breathes more, I don't know, marketing into the materials without you even needing to do anything. Like there's nothing
Hmm.
truly more powerful than word of mouth. Honestly, it
Hmm.
makes it, especially like this, like your art, for example, too. It feels like, oh, I feel like I'm in this cool club of people that know about it. You know what I mean? Like now
Hmm.
there's a sense of community almost with it because you've got other
Hmm.
people commenting about what their favorite pieces are. And like, I just love that for you. I think that's really cool. With the internet, we're able to connect like this and you're able to
Hmm.
find a place, a market
Hmm.
for your artwork, which probably wouldn't be, maybe like a gallery would take a shot at it and be like, yeah, sure, we could put up some pieces. But like to the scale in which you're putting it out, I think is very impressive.
Hmm. It's a lot different, like on social media. You can, so I'm only like showing my face now because
Mhm.
I'm coming from my perspective, not Shampoooty, right?
Right, right,
So
right, right.
Shampoooty is its own thing. You're interviewing Andy.
Okay, cool. Good to
So,
know.
but like I can speak on that, but because Shampoooty wouldn't speak. Shampoooty is just that's just like a that's just my first AOL Instant Messenger screen name.
How's that?
And I had that screen name when I broke up with my first girlfriend in eighth grade.
Wait, so where did it come from?
Um, to be honest, my brother had a friend growing up, my older brother, and his friend, I think when he was a baby, that was like his like first word, like
No way.
long word. It was Shampoody.
That's
And
great.
so I always kind of kept hearing it like throughout my childhood. And then when it comes to like getting a screen name, if you don't want like letters or numbers after it, that would always work.
Adding a couple extra O's.
Yeah, and it's funny because if my name was like if my screen name was Andy underscore 342555, nobody would be able to say that to each other. They
Right,
wouldn't be like,
right.
"Hey, do you follow Andy underscore 32555?" They're not going to do that.
No, my
It's
girlfriend and I don't just do it for fun around the house. We'll just yell Shampoooty. It's
exactly.
just a
It's
fun, and it almost like fits the artwork. Like I
yeah.
know that it's funny, like the name came before the
Hmm.
realization of the concept, but was there a moment in your head where you thought of this idea, you created that first 3D rendering even on your computer, and then you were like, that's the name I got to use for this?
No, no. It was. I think probably what happened is that the name itself resonated with kind of who I was like before that. I was born on like April Fool's Day, and but also like grew up with like a lot of like I guess like issues, as we say. And I think mixing them together and just finding like a playful manner, I think that name fits it. It
Hmm.
just like it does fit it. And it's mostly probably like the ideas that are being shown
Yeah.
live into like they kind of also make they meet at the same place as why the name was chosen, probably. But it
Mm,
wasn't like a decision. I'm
I
the
gotcha.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the answers that I find are not like pre-chosen. They're just like I end up there, and then later I can be like, oh yeah, that's why I chose it.
Right, 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 right. Yeah, because like Rick Rubin talks a lot about like the muse pushing creative people. If
Mm-hmm.
you haven't read his book yet, The Creative Act,
Mm-hmm.
it's really really good. And it kind of like speaks to the type of like person that he is too, the way he even wrote it. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
he every like I fully believe that because I do stand up comedy, so every
Mm-hmm.
time a thought comes into my head of like that something that I right away think funny or value as something funny or just makes me giggle, I'll make sure I immediately write it down because I know that
Mm-hmm.
even though it maybe doesn't make sense to me right now, it could be the seed to something much greater later on where I go, that's what I needed that thought for at that time.
Mm-hmm. That's absolutely right. If you do not, you are the medium of your expression. And if you do not share it, write it down, express it, it will be lost and no one gets to see it. And you probably won't remember it. Like these ideas, if we write them down or if like I stamp mine in my head.
Mm,
Mine are just like, if it's a good idea, it just keeps coming back. If it's like a half good idea, or like an idea that I want to try to, a lot of good ideas, I think I write down just to make sure I don't forget them
hmm.
because it's not, I'm writing them down because they're the kind of idea that maybe my brain is not used to remembering in that style.
An original thought.
Right. Like the way that I'll remember things is I trust myself that I don't have to write it down.
Right.
It's, but I will take, actually, no, I'm going to take that back. I'm going to take that back.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to take that back completely because I've
Okay.
had,
It's like now that I've thought about it.
yeah, which is like cool. I thought
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah,
actually
yeah, yeah.
chose to
Yeah, we
think about
worked through it.
it. Yeah, it's Jazz talking it out. Uh, but yeah, I do have like an on my notes app. I
Uh-huh,
have
uh-huh.
like a ideas list that I'll just I think the thing that will come of that is I'll go back to the idea and it just won't make any sense to me.
Hmm. Yeah,
Like I'll be
yeah,
like dwarf head
yeah.
like cut off like big toe.
You're like,
I'm
is
like,
that supposed to mean something? Is this a
cool.
theme or something going on? Yeah, the
Yeah.
details. I think writing down details is like really good, even if it's for an idea that you're like super pumped up about. Like I'll have
Hmm.
certain jokes where that's all I'm thinking about. Like I
Yeah.
can't, I could try to go to work and whatever, but I can't stop thinking about that joke. So there's
Hmm.
almost no need. I feel like there's almost no need to write it down, but it's like the details of what's getting you excited about that idea
Yeah.
are the important things to write down.
Yeah, they are. And like, do you find that so like sometimes I'll have an idea and then I'll have this, I don't know, scene in my head or a pictorial like view about what it is,
Right.
and then I'll go to write it down, and then the words that I'm writing it down with in the middle of it, I start to like think about it, and then I lose that
Right. Voice
nugget.
record. You got to talk
The
it out.
I know, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
lose the
yeah,
nugget, but then I hate listening to my voice, so I won't.
yeah. You got to get used to it, man. You
I
got
won't
to
like.
you got to
I
mind the
mean,
ideas
for yeah, I mean, I think that for me,
or
when I
transcribe it. Use AI to just transcribe the audio and then you don't even have to
I do,
listen to it.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know? There you go.
I do that. I do that, and like I think that like there's some parts of people that for me describing myself just through making a model,
Hmm.
sharing my thoughts, my like beliefs, my words through just a photograph, just through or through a rendering, through a 3D model. I find that like a, a, a whole diary of in itself that have like there's so many things I'm thinking about throughout that I will remember.
Hmm.
And then like with words, I'm just kind of like it's like reading like these glyphs that are just like
Right, right.
and like
You
my
think in
friend who
hieroglyphics.
it's thinking like and like yeah like I'm more so than a lot of people. My best friend is a copy editor, and he can read like a newspaper, like the New York Times, and just like it's not even like a stress. It's just
Hmm.
like all the way through like an hour. He gets through all of it. He can read a book in a day, no problem, and do the corrections. So we're the complete opposites, and I absolutely respect that.
I
Of
think that's important to have too,
yeah,
like somebody who learns and sees the world in a completely different way from you. It gives you like a nuanced perspective instead of just thinking that the
hmm,
world is always funneled through the way that you look at things.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Now, when I asked you about the one word for the podcast, was there anything that came to mind for you?
Uh, no, I mean it was like like me like it's more like kind of who's seeing me. I
Hmm.
think like if it's me talking about myself, I wouldn't know like a one word. Um, but then I was thinking, oh, I should ask people what their one word of me would be.
Mm.
And so I got I got a few. Oh, there's my phone. No, it's
Yeah.
um
Like, oh, I forgot.
I got like from like this is not me talking. This is like other people. So for my one friend, he's um like mad scientist. That was his take.
Okay.
And then my other friend's take was childlike. And then another friend's take was like um probably like something like mad scientist as well. And another person is like um listener. So like I for like I'm not like I'm only myself because of all these other people,
Hmm.
and they help me like it's nice to be around these people because I can be, you know, like me with them is different than me with you. And like
Right.
you're offering a lot right now, and it's like I feel actually pretty comfortable, which most interviews I don't.
Same.
So
I hear you. Yeah, yeah. Well, it's like to be like a hang. I don't, well, it's not really like a question, answer. And it's hard
yeah.
sometimes to, I've talked to people who are very media trained, who have done a lot of like big interviews. And so when I'm like, hey, yeah, like welcome to the podcast. And then we're just kind of like looking at each other, I'm like, okay, now you say something. Like
Yeah.
they're waiting for like the first question
They're waiting for
so
questions.
they can fire out their answer and then feel good
Mhm.
about it and like then wait for the next question. Where I like I would ask you more so based on the things that you've told me from like how your
Mhm.
friends have described you, is there any of those labels, let's call them, that you feel more strongly towards? Like good
Oh,
or
yeah.
bad. Like, you know what I mean? Like whatever the emotion is, whatever the strongest emotion is.
I would say I wouldn't the I would say okay, without the emotion, the one that I get the most is like, oh, you're like a mad scientist.
Okay.
You're like or like surprisingly I've got like that I'm crazy, but in the best way possible. I've
Mm.
gotten that more than 5 times. It's kind of they kind of all the what I hear, it kind of funnels down into that realm. To me, I feel like I'm more of a somebody who's kind of trying to communicate like what it is to be a human
Hmm.
in my own like it's expression, right? It's trying to communicate with humans about what it is to be one and life sucks and life is good and blah blah blah.
Expression is a good one.
Right.
That's a
And so
solid word.
right, it's expression because we're all here together and we're all
Yeah.
going to go through the same stuff and we can all see it in every single different light that we want. And why not see it in a colorful way where it's manageable?
You ever done mushrooms?
Yeah.
That'll make you see the world in a colorful way, man. Like
Yeah,
the first time
yeah.
I was terrified doing it for the first time, but there was still a part of me that was like, just like riding a horse for the first time, terrified. But there was part of
Mm,
me that was like, this feels like part of the human experience. Like I'm supposed to do this right now. I've been put
mhm.
in this situation at this moment in time, presented with this opportunity, and it feels like something I should do for the betterment of, I don't know, my soul, my brain, my
For
way
your
of looking
soul.
at the world,
Yeah.
and it really did change my perspective on a lot of
Yeah.
stuff, and like highlighted the importance of like my individual expression and appreciating other people's expression without letting, shitty emotions like jealousy take you over, when you see somebody that's expressing the same way that you're expressing. It's like, it's so funny how it can open your eyes to different stuff like that.
Yeah, I advise everybody to take like do a lot of mushrooms once.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Do a lot so much that you forget you. So much that and in fact,
Have that ego death.
the first girlfriend I met or the first girl that I connected with, like actually connected with, I met in the middle of a mushroom trip.
Wow, that's
I
crazy.
was yeah, I was so I was
Look, I
six
was 12 years old.
I was 16. I was 16.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, I was driving a car. Yeah, I was 16 and I was with my friend Hugh Fondine and we took mushrooms in like a sandwich and then we laid on the hill and then and it's like there is this like anxiety going into it and
Right.
we both took an eighth and we're like 20 or no, sorry, I'm 16, he might have been 20.
Okay.
We're laying on the hill, it kicks in and then this warmth like hit this like not brimming yet and then the stars kind of started beating like a heart and and you just kind of almost cry because it was just so like expansive and deep and connected and then we saw like a gnome in a tree like a gnome house
Right.
for gnomes in a
Yeah, yeah,
tree and
yeah.
we went to investigate. And then there was this group of girls that were walking down the pathway in this, it was like a forest area near like one of my friends' houses. And they were walking down and they're like, what the fuck are you guys doing
You're just
in the
like touching
forest,
trees,
like touching trees, talking to trees. And I
crying,
go, crying out of joy.
crying, touching trees, and smiling.
Yeah. And so I remember telling them, I'm like, we think we found like the remnants of like a smoldering gnome fire
But
and we're pretty sure that they're around here somewhere. Um, and and the trees are shaking at us,
mhm,
like you're doing a good job. And then they just thought that was fun, and then they came to follow.
that's great.
And then the girl that I met there, we were together for like 4 years. It's like
Wow.
you get to see inside of somebody's the deepest part. There's no wall. It was just cracked open for a little short time of the evening,
Right.
and they she got to see it, and she saw that I think what was like underneath there, which is probably what all of my anxieties and fears and everything, like maybe these days tries to keep like bottled up or like walled off
Hmm.
because vulnerability is tough.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
Sucks
like,
getting hurt.
yeah, it sucks being available to being hurt.
Hmm. Right, right. You know what? I always had that perspective, like for a little while until I started coming. It's funny. I read The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, which is
Mm,
an incredible book if you can get past the amount of times that he drops the F-bomb, because it is a
mm,
lot. But he's really just trying to push home this like point. And you
mm,
think of it as kind of like a bold thing to say, like, well, what do you mean don't care what people think about whatever? But I took it more as like, don't care what you think about
mm,
yourself and your emotions. Like, there's this other voice in our heads that's telling us that, like, no, you've been hurt before, therefore you shouldn't be vulnerable or you should feel vulnerable instead of there's no other voice defending that though, saying, here's why you should be vulnerable because maybe it
mm,
will open you up to a deeper connection that you would have otherwise blocked off and lost that opportunity. And if you just leave
mm.
yourself open to everything and not give a fuck that you've been hurt before and just let
Yeah,
yourself open every single time to get hurt, I think that's a life well lived. And that's the famous saying, right? Better to have
yeah,
loved and lost than never loved at all.
yeah, man. Like you let your heart get broken once, it sucks. It's the most painful thing ever. You let your heart get broken twice, really painful. It hurts. You let your heart broken like 50 times, you're fine. Like
Yeah,
it
you're like,
doesn't,
it'll be
after a certain
okay.
time, it's like it's not like it gets easier, you just get better. I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
I think Oprah says that. Like it's just like just you gotta one after the other. Like
yeah.
if you like for you, it's probably like a podcaster too, to like you have to set up the fucking camera, the mic, you gotta schedule. And like in the beginning, that's gotta be like a shitload of work. It has to seem like arduous. And now, like maybe now that you're like into it, it just seems like it's part of the
Part of my
it doesn't
week.
it,
I
it
talk
doesn't
to three
interrupt.
people every
Yeah.
week, you know, like it doesn't
Yeah.
interrupt my daily schedule whatsoever. And this is the third time that I've done a podcast. I've done other podcasts and they've failed because the passion wasn't there, the setting wasn't right, and now I finally have like found my flow
You
state when it
found
comes
you.
to
Yeah, yeah,
podcasting.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm able to just like reach out to people with no fear of rejection, no fear of someone
Mm.
saying, no, I don't want to do that than me thinking that's reflecting on who I am and oh, I'm not good enough
Right, right.
to podcast, right? And
Hmm.
those thoughts like prevent you from doing shit. Like I quit smoking cigarettes just by telling myself that I didn't need them. And
Like
people are
you
like,
just yeah.
people will say stuff like, "Oh, I heard it's harder to quit cigarettes than it is to quit heroin." And I'm like, "It is if you think that."
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
if you feed these thoughts into your brain like it's hard for you to do something, your brain will make it hard for you because you've told
Hmm.
yourself that it's hard. So now it's going to find evidence that it's hard and prove yourself right,
Hmm.
which is what your
Yeah.
brain is so good at doing. And once you realize that, you can do anything.
Hmm.
You can
Yeah.
literally do
Oh,
anything.
yeah. My brain is like really clever with me sometimes, and
Yeah, of course. It's really
it.
advanced for a good reason, you know. It's been thousands of years in development.
Hey man, and like but it just it adds like I don't think that I was confident when I knew that what I was doing I believed in,
Hmm.
and that wasn't probably until I was like 25 or 26. Up until then, like I just didn't have, I didn't like, I went to like public school and we didn't really have like, I was kicked out a couple times. And so I never took a physics class or like,
Mm.
like a shop class even. Hold on one second. Um, or like a lot of things that I could have gotten my hands on. Um, so I was kind of lost for a few years. And then one time it was actually through like a breakup. I was like thinking about the person too much, you know? I was
Yeah,
like
yeah.
thinking too much about them and it was like hurting me. And I was like, fuck it, let's go build this camera rig. So I built a camera rig, and I realized when I built it that I didn't think about that person the whole time.
Oh, okay.
Then I was like, okay, let's build. Let's
Yeah,
build
yeah.
stuff now. And then that, because when I build something and it works, it verifies that I am like doing the right job. I'm
Right.
doing, and but sometimes I'll build and it doesn't work and it's backwards and it's upside down and it took me 4 hours and it took could have took me 5 minutes.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I realized maybe I'm in a bad space.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're like, if this isn't coming easy to me, I need to reevaluate what I'm doing right now.
But that's also like
Yeah, yeah.
that should everybody should we should be continuously doing that,
Right.
continuously reevaluating.
Oh, yeah.
And because it's like we think like right now I am this person, and then 10 years we try to
Even
maybe,
think a year.
yeah,
I,
a
I
year.
will do that if I'm going through some really shitty time. I think about where was I a year ago? Could I
Hmm.
imagine being in this situation a year ago? And where will I be a year from now? And will I be even thinking about this terrible moment that I'm having right now? Or will it be not even crossing my memory because I'll be
Hmm.
dealing with whatever I'm dealing with in that moment? It's like that's the best
Hmm.
way to live, man. Just constantly in the present. Because I think if you live too much in the past, it's because you're unhappy with your current situation. If you're like having a lot of like flashback sort of daydreaming.
Hmm.
And if you're thinking too far into the future, you are having like anxiety about what you're doing in the present. And what you really need to do is just focus on what's happening in the present because you can't control what's about to happen in the future. You can only control how you're feeling and how you're reacting right now in that moment.
Yeah, or how you respond. Like for me, sometimes I'll be, I like to do yoga a lot, and throughout yoga, it's like a chance to be in the moment.
Hmm.
And um, there's like, there was like a few months where it was just like I was just in flow. It was just like I was there, I knew it, centered in the moment during the time, maybe watching my mind run around like a little puppy over
Yeah.
anxieties, or like resentment, or something, maybe like a couple times, just dealing with the physical anguish of whatever it was is happening.
Right.
But and I find that like when I'm like steady on my path, I go do yoga, I can set things aside. But when, like, I think for instance, like something just stupid like today, I'm doing it and I'm like, wait, my medication like wore out today. Like it's
Mm,
gone now.
damn.
And the pharmacy hasn't called me. It's a day before Thanksgiving and probably sure like blah, blah, blah.
Uh,
But I do need it. And I'm just like, the worst that can happen is they'll say we don't have it, and I'll have to deal with it for maybe a day or two. It wouldn't be that long, but
right, right.
in my mind, it's like, oh my God, it's going to be forever.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then
yeah.
I'm like, let's just wait till the end of class after exerting some physical energy and see how we feel. Just like shut up, shut up for a little bit.
Hmm.
And then by the end of the class, I'm like, let's just call them and ask.
Yeah.
And then I called and asked, and they're like, yeah, it's ready.
There you go.
And I'm like, and so
Just
there's
stressing
there's
about it
this,
for no reason.
right.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I hate when my brain does that. When my brain starts going like, and then if I don't get there in time, and then I got to do
Hmm.
this, and then that's
Yeah.
gonna happen, and then this is gonna happen, and then I'm gonna be in
Hmm.
a terrible. And it's like, well, no, none of that's happened. Slow down, like roll it back. Like
Yeah.
you
It's
really have to
it's
start like reel yourself in. It's crazy how your mind can just get away from you like that in a stressful situation. It's
hmm.
it's that fight or flight kicking in, right? Like I heard someone say this, we have a perfect brain for 5,000 years ago. You know,
Hmm.
when we were trying to like get through the savannah and we didn't want to get eaten by a lion or something, though those fight or flight mechanisms were really great. But now it's we blow small things out of proportion. Like totally.
It's easy. I mean, because like, I think it's kind of like you got to have like a yard to play in. It's like
Hmm.
take the dog for a walk. You're the dog. you got to run around, you got to like
It's a
exert
great thing
or
to say before you leave the house. I gotta take the
exert
dog for a
energy,
walk.
right? Get some energy because I know plenty of people who um they don't exert like physical energy, and
Mm,
then they talk about like the psychological torment in a way. You know what I mean? They talk
yeah,
about like their issues, like mima, the thing in their head. They talk about their brain issues, and I would just say that like just like what, take a walk around the block, get out, just
right, yeah.
go, let your mind like dogs like to go out and they like to sniff.
Hmm.
They sniff. That's like their social media. I've heard.
Yeah, they do
It's
like an
like
S pattern. They go kind
they
of
like,
swooping back and forth.
and I want to like. There's ways that we can like also do that, but we don't have to like be like cognizant that that's what our point is. It's just that that's the result of doing that. It's not like it's like
Hmm.
you go on a vacation. The vacation is maybe stressful. It's not, but then later you look back and you're like, oh, that was fucking awesome.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's
I
February
didn't.
here. I'm freezing my ass off. That was
I know.
nice.
I know, but like in the moment,
You're like,
it's
oh, they
like,
lost my luggage.
man, I should be in the moment. I should be in the
Yeah,
moment, loving this thing, and
it's so true.
it's like, shut up, shut up, shut up. We gotta shut up that brain.
Yeah, yeah.
Let it like, like, correct. Hold it.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
Chill
okay.
out.
It's okay because maybe those things that are so scary for us and so like painful for our brain are actually just wanting for us to be calm and happy.
Hmm.
Maybe they're just waiting for us to be that way and then they will subside. Like you know what I mean? Like maybe
Yeah,
they're
no,
not
totally.
the enemy.
Yeah, no, no. Like people will say, well, I'm an anxious person. I've got to get rid of my anxiety. It's like, well, maybe it's your body trying to tell you something. Like you need to go outside, you need to get exercise, you need
Mhm.
to maybe not eat so much sugar or caffeine or like really do some self-reflecting first. And
Mhm.
then if you've done all that, you're the healthiest person in the world, you jog for 5 kilometers, 5 miles, whatever it
Yeah.
is. And it's
Kilometers.
still, yeah, no, I'm in Canada.
No, no, no. I love it. I wish we did that.
It's so funny. I'm
Yeah,
like miles. I tried to translate it. It's totally
you take
different.
a jog.
But yeah, it's like, okay, if none of that's working, then get some medication to fix it. But
Uh,
most of
fi-
the time, it's going to be your body trying to tell you something.
yeah, the body wants to talk. The body
Yeah.
wants to talk, but the mind won't let it sometimes.
Hmm. Or it's
Like
just like, it's fine. It's fine.
I'll deal with it later.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'll deal with it later. I'll deal with it tomorrow. Um, I'll deal with it tomorrow. And I still do that. Like I feel like some people who like knowing growing up, it's like you start some people start as like a very stable person.
Hmm.
They go to a good college and they find a job and they're successful in the sense that they can, they do their taxes and they can schedule things and compartmentalize things in their brain and write things down and put them in their Google Calendar and shit like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then there's like other people that they're just these giant, abstract, blurry, fucking sprays of like, I don't know. And then
Activities.
they one of my friends he was schizophrenic and he lost his driver's license because he thought he was going to crash into a giant rabbit on the road.
No.
And his mom never admitted that he was her son. She was like a drug addict and his dad. You know what I mean? You
Oh
grow
my
up in this
God.
really fucking strange place and you
Uh-huh.
have to really crawl out of that. And even now, if he's just able to at least keep a job for 3 months,
That's success.
that's success. It doesn't matter like if he's eating
Right.
sugar, that doesn't count anymore. Or that doesn't
No.
matter yet. That doesn't matter yet.
Right, right, right. When you can't feed
And
your family or you can't take care of yourself, like other depression is not on your mind. You're in that fight mode of like, I need to get this thing done, and doing that thing is success to me because of what I've crawled out of.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's like a big for me, like that's a big inspiration to be a good person for for myself and for others,
Yeah.
and to try my best to be an accurate communicator of expression, because you and I and everybody else around us right now, we're all here together. We're all everybody in the world right now.
Yeah.
We're all on
This
the
is
same
our
team.
tribe. Like
This is our tribe.
in 100 years, it'll be a whole new set of
It'll
humans.
be a whole new set of, and they're gonna look
It's
at us, and
crazy.
they're gonna be like, oh, that tribe.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so I want to make it the best that I can offer.
Hmm.
And I think like for me, my best like way to show that to people is like visually, and um as like physical objects, like for this current moment.
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
In 5 years,
Who knows?
I hope I hope Shampoooty is still like in my library and I can still reach to it, but it's just like it's a chapter, and it doesn't mean it can't be continually edited and written.
Yeah. It
Um,
could even be
and
the adolescence of like your creative projects, right? Being the childlike expression and then moving into a more teenage angsty
mhm,
expression. And so like you look at like early 2000s iconic pieces and move that way through like relating to this generation. I think that's where a lot of the strength comes in is you've got a bunch of millennials who are looking at your items, feeling those things and remembering the hopefully the bliss of their childhood toys is
mhm,
like what we talk about like self-soothing your brain. Sometimes just seeing a Fisher Price imagery is like soothing to the mind. And
mhm.
it's a beautiful form of expression. I like feel grateful to be able to chat with you about it on this podcast.
Yeah, it's so okay. I can go into how that whole idea started. Um,
Yeah, sure.
if
By all means.
yeah. So in my head for probably like 10 years, I just had this idea that I never actualized. I just would keep it would keep coming back, and it was one of those, little kids cars, the yellow and the red one,
Yeah.
the little tykes. It's called the Cozy Coupe.
Okay.
Um, and I just imagined it as a hearse. That was just that
So,
it was just an idea that just kind of kept coming back, and it would kind of make me giggle when I
yeah.
laughed. Uh, like when I was walking down the street, it's just something I could go back to. And so then I'm like, well, I started a new job and I needed to practice my 3D modeling skills. So I was just like, let's do 1 hour a day, practice 3D modeling. Let's start with the hearse. I started and I made that, posted it. And then I was like, well, the hearse needs like a friend. Like what the hearse itself, I asked somebody, they're like, yeah, you look at it and you have to stay there for a minute to process it to realize what it is. And
Hmm.
that's why they liked it, because they had to sit there for a moment.
Yeah. And
And
recall that memory. Yeah, yeah.
they had to recall it, and they said it felt special when they realized what it was.
Right.
It's they
So
felt
I said the
special.
little club.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So I've always kept that with me, is that it feels special to know what it is when you know what it is. However, like I've totally broken that boundary plenty of times
Sure.
for a different part of that area. But going back to the what I was just saying about that's how the idea started. It wasn't meant to like make art. It was just a practice, and then somebody took a video of my stuff, and then it got like a few million views. And then I got like, I think like 25,000 followers in a few days. And then, uh, so that it wasn't like an intentional like idea that I went
The best
for.
things never are, right? I
Exactly.
truly think that.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
there because I don't have any ego behind it. I don't have
Right.
any like, I don't think like, oh, this is great.
You can
This
kill it
is
at
my
any
art.
moment. It's not your baby. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like,
They're all my babies. I'll
yeah,
protect them.
yeah, yeah,
I'll
yeah.
protect those babies. Do I have any
Uh,
babies around here?
that's so funny.
Not that guy.
Just
He doesn't need to
ahead.
be there. Just ahead. But yeah,
No, that's cool.
it's funny. Yeah, because you can't plan on it.
Yeah. It just had right place, right time for all of those things to happen, right? You just had to be working away and trying to perfect something, and then somebody had to take notice of that in that moment and film the video that exact way.
Hmm.
And you had no part of that. Like that wasn't
No.
even on your radar. That's the most incredible part of it is like there are people on the internet that are like, and this is the point I really want to get out there, and this is kind of the beef that I have with like art being comedy, music, everything being broadcast on social media is too many new artists are attaching that online numeric system to their worth, to their value, to their creative ideas. If something does well online, they go, ah, that's my niche. I gotta just do that. I
Hmm.
can only ever do that. Like Ninja, the streamer, if he plays any game that's not Fortnite, his fans get mad.
Yeah.
Now I would tell him, who cares? Like, allow yourself to lose 2 million fans if it means that you are going to have a fun time playing the game, because that's the whole reason why you started streaming is because you wanted to have fun playing video games. But now you've stuck yourself in this box where you think you're only valuable playing Fortnite. Like, it, it blows my mind. It's like, and so to see you have the success from it, and it's like you're living proof that like it should not bother you, and it should be um like we were saying before with going outside for a walk. It should be like a result of your actions, not the intended purpose.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess if you could word, or if I had, if I wanted, if I was, if everybody only knew me for Fortnite, but I wanted to play like Roller Coaster Tycoon or something,
Yeah.
then maybe like I'd like maybe get just a different username and do it under that.
Yeah,
Or
there you
because
go.
like I like the way a curated page looks. Like if you go to like the pictures in my like grid, they
Hmm.
just look they look I the way they
Makes
look the way I
sense.
want them to look. And if I were to introduce something that's way off base, it
Yeah.
wouldn't mesh. So it's a whole curated space. So I
Okay.
would need to find a different name. Maybe I'd
Yeah.
if I don't know what my name, and I'm sure like for you, like okay, and no, I'll just go back. Shampoooty is just
Stone entity for
it's
sure.
its own entity. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I treat it like that. So like anything around that, I think right now I'm taking in, you gotta like strike while the iron's hot.
For
I think
sure.
sometimes it's good to let it go and to move forward. And I think with this thing, it's kind of kept a consistent build, and it's kept like a consistent platform where people appreciate
Oh,
it. And so I want to facilitate that. And that is kind of like, I'm like, okay, I'm actually kind of a servant to it at this point. And, but I also want it to grow to it is a baby I'm raising. And, but it also doesn't mean that I can do different ideas on the side, right? If
yeah,
that's my
yeah,
nine to
yeah.
five, it doesn't
Yeah.
mean I can't have, if it's my 9 to 5 at that point, it doesn't mean that after five that I have to do it. I can find other extracurricular creative
Yeah.
processes that are
Yeah,
different.
that's my point.
Yeah.
Is that like
However, yeah.
focus on that for sure because you're seeing success behind it, and I think that's it's like driving excitement in you and something that you want to see grow. And I
Hmm.
could even see Shampoooty being like a legacy brand of yours under this like overarching company where you can do like offshoot collabs if you want to with people where it's
Hmm.
Shampoooty by Adidas and then they have like shoes with the with your artwork on the side of it, or Shampoooty by name
Hmm.
the clothing company, or Toys R
Hmm.
Us, let's say, decides to take an edgy turn and
Hmm.
Toys R Us starts at scale making your art projects. Like how inception moment would that be? Like
It's all about those like little moments that are unanticipated that
Mhm.
can shine up or can show up in your life that and show you that what you were doing was on the right on the right
Yeah,
path. And I'm sure that
totally.
you can probably see that like as you grow as a podcaster and like developing your I can see that you like to get to know people and it's like it's genuine. And now that you've kind of like how long did it take you to find out how to just be like you said you've had how many different versions? Like,
This is like the third podcast that I've tried to do. The first two were like in person, and I was trying too hard to have it like very produced. And
oh yeah,
I
yeah,
wanted to do the
yeah.
team thing where I'm like, yeah, man, like we're gonna do a podcast together, and you can produce it, and I can do this part, and we'll work together, and it'll be fun. And what happened was I ended up doing everything. And people would just show up when they wanted to show up. And it put so much stress on me of like feeling like, because now I've made it so that it looks like I'm doing three people's jobs when really it was me who had the idea to do the podcast. So when I took
Yeah.
the accountability of just saying, well, then why don't I just do the podcast? And
Mhm.
I'll do everything myself because I want to do it. And if I want to take a day off, I don't have to call three other people and say, "Hey, sorry, I'm taking a day off today," and then feel bad about it, and
Hmm.
moving stuff around. So, I
So it's
think this
basically,
podcast,
yeah, yeah, yeah. So in terms of production, you found out like let's just keep it local.
keep it simple, man. Order a
Just
webcam
keep it
off Amazon, keep it in
yeah,
my
put
house.
a couple
Like,
blue lights.
yeah, 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 we're
Dude,
good.
that's pretty cool, man. Yeah. And then you just press record. Hook up
Yeah,
the
yeah.
mic, press record.
Hit record, chat, done.
That's
I have an editing system even too, so when I go to edit, I could probably have this episode edited and up on YouTube before the end of the night because I
do
have a
you
system that's so dialed in.
do you use Premiere?
No, I use Filmora. So it's just like a really simple video editing software. You can pay to just buy the program outright, so you
Yeah,
just
yeah,
own
yeah.
it for like $65 or
And
something.
just cut what you need.
Yeah, just take whatever I need. And then I use AI to create clips for me, and I post like a clip every day leading up to the podcast.
Wait, where do you use that? Where's the AI to
It's called
poster?
Opus Pro is the name of the software service.
Oh, hold on, I'm gonna leave frame for a second.
Really, really good.
Opus.
So
I kind of,
I'll just
yep.
take the whole podcast and I'll drop it into Opus Pro and it'll categorize it, it'll
Oh, wow.
caption it. It's beautiful. I love AI so much.
Can Opus Pro like sponsor this video?
I hope so. I'm paying them. I would love
This
to just get it for
video.
free. I don't even need money. Just give me the free
I
service.
would like
This podcast
Opus
has been
Pro.
unofficially brought to you by Opus Pro.
Yeah, just go to opuspro.com and enter the discount code
Yeah, Black Friday.
Black Friday and nothing happens.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And deal with it.
Yeah. Uh,
0% off.
yeah, 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 yeah. 0% off, must act now. Andy, there's always one question that I always ask my guests towards the end of the podcast. And
Mhm.
essentially, to give you the TLDR, it's what advice would you give to your younger self? but I think that's kind of lame. So I want you to think of who you were at 15 years old and really like imagine who you were at that time. Who were you around? Where were you? And the phone rings in your house and it's you
Mm,
now on the other end. Whatever advice you now give to your 15-year-old self, then it's not going to impact your life
mm,
whatsoever. That's already been set in motion. But you might be able to change theirs. So what do you say?
mm. I would say, don't worry, it's okay. Like, don't don't worry. Not like stop worrying, but like it's
Just don't.
don't torment yourself with that. It won't. And then just let him go. But like that's like a big thing. It's just like looking back at people who beat themselves up, who go through this worry. Maybe it's helpful for them, but maybe also they need to know that it's not necessary.
Hmm.
It's okay to be an anxious person, but you don't have to worry all the time. And I think that's also poor advice at the same time because it doesn't help them know how to be okay being that way
Right.
if that's what they are.
Yeah.
But it's like whenever I talk to a baby, I talk to it like an adult. I'm like, "Hey, how you doing?" I don't have like a baby voice.
You shouldn't. I always hated
So
that.
so like if I were to talk to my 15-year-old self, if I were to do anything, if my 15-year-old self knew it was me,
Hmm.
I would just hug him and say, "It's okay."
That's solid, man. That's solid advice. And I'm sure somebody is going through something right now that they can take that and use it. Your website is kidstoysadultissues.com. This is where you can purchase any
Yep.
of your work that you've got up here, the like that
Tomorrow,
happy
yeah,
bubbler.
tomorrow, Black Friday. Tomorrow, or no, tomorrow's like Thursday, but
Right.
um, tomorrow, as you can see on this, 6 p.m. Eastern time.
How long is
If
this on for?
this is for the weekend,
Okay, this will be
so,
done by
so
the time this comes out. And like I'm trying to think of my
yeah,
schedule. This comes out
if you
December
guys
13th, so you missed it.
well, no, here, I'm gonna offer your fans a code, okay?
Okay.
If you guys saw this after the fact, after um, one second, can you hear me right now?
Yeah, yeah, I can still hear you.
If your fans see this after this sale, then they can enter. What would you prefer to be
Ooh,
the discount code? You pick one.
have me pick one. Oh man.
Yeah.
Let's use
If you
expression. I
if
think
you were to
that's
go
a good we'll call the episode expression and that'll be the promo code.
expression, okay. The expression code is lowercase expression, and for anybody who sees this, they can use it, and they will get um 20% off anything.
There you go. That's
So
very generous of you.
I appreciate you reaching out,
Yeah.
and yeah, I got a lot of fun stuff there. I
Like
can see that. Oh yeah, he's
okay, we
showing my
can go
babies.
to Shampoooty on
Go to
Instagram.
Shampoooty on Instagram. I think like on TikTok, my average age followers are like 13. Kind of
Okay.
weird.
Yeah.
Um,
It's also Shampoooty on TikTok and X as well.
Shampoooty on TikTok and on X. Uh, and uh, give a follow, and um, it's fun to meet people who can get it. I think a lot of people like it.
Yeah. Do you have anything else to say to the audience before we close this one out?
Um, Let me check. I might.
Your video clicked off there.
Oh, yeah, I know. I'm looking up something.
Oh, okay. You're like, I don't want to be seen on Google.
No, I'm looking at my notes.
Oh, okay, okay.
Okay.
I was sharing my screen and I was like, man, I really hope my antivirus pop-up didn't get into the screen record.
Yeah, I fucking right. Um,
At least everyone knows my computer's well protected.
okay. Am I back?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, no, video's not there.
Hold on. Let's check. Start video.
Hey, okay.
Um, the meaning is probably that what I would advise to people is that they are everybody out there is the medium of expression. If you don't express it, the world doesn't see it. It's lost. Express it. That's it. And it's not going to feel good.
It's the perfect way to end it. Andy, thanks so much for sitting and chatting, man. I had a really good time.
Appreciate it, man.
All right. Hope you have a good rest of your night, buddy.
You too, man. Take care.
Take care. You've been listening to The Johnny Rogers Show. New episodes air every Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.